Welcome to Fun and Games Side Quests. Every episode is a different host sharing a video game they love and why they love it.
Hey Side Quests, my name's Dave Proctor. I'm the director at Mighty L Studios. We make games like The Big Con, A Night in the Attic, and the recently released Missile Command Delta with our friends at Atari and 13am Games. And I don't know if you know this, but when the host of this show asks someone to join Side Quests, there is a big list of games that have been covered or not covered. And I get to peruse the list, and I noticed that no one had talked about The Secret of Monkey Island. And I was like, what? So I'm here to tell you about maybe one of the best adventure games ever made, The Secret of Monkey Island. Picture this. You are a young person like myself. You've only ever played console video games, and it is the, early mid-90s, like a 94 or so. And you encounter someone that says, hey, you can also play video games on your computer. And I was like, I kind of know this, but whatever. They're just like crappy DOS games that my dad had. And he was like, no, there's this thing. He brought over a collection of LucasArts adventure games from things that were released over the past few years. There was the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, there was The Dig and Maniac Mansion, and there was The Secret of Monkey Island. I installed it using many floppy disks. I verified my installation with by saying what word is on what page in the manual, and I was off to the races. I got to play this game that changed my life. The Secret of Monkey Island is the story of Guybrush Threepwood, a terribly named wannabe pirate who is attempting to go on the journey of becoming a pirate. He introduced himself very early on, and his quests, I'm Guybrush Threepwood, and I am going to be a mighty pirate. And he encounters a bunch of strange characters and a bunch of, interesting piratey scenarios, and the main pivot to all of this is that it's a comedy game. It's funny. I had never played a game that made me laugh before. I didn't know that you could do that. I didn't know that games could be funny. And when I played The Secret of Monkey Island, I was howling my little 9-year-old butt off. Everything in the game is a setup, a joke, an opportunity for some silly anachronistic humor. The concept of being a pirate means that you have to undergo these 3 pirate trials, which is, of course, you have to master sword fighting, you have to master treasure hunting, and you have to master thievery. And just to put you in the place of playing this game when I was a kid, sword fighting is done through a series of insults. They call it insult sword fighting. So there is no actual mechanical combat. You are repeating these stupid jokes like, you fight like a dairy farmer. How appropriate. You fight like a cow. And everything about the game is turning the concept of what would be expected about a game about adventure, a game about piracy, a game about swashbuckling, daring do on its head for a chance to sell the player a silly bit. There is a incredibly caustic pirate rum drink called grog that you can use to melt through iron bars. There is a shopkeeper who you have to distract so you can break into his safe, and every time you say, hey, can you head out into the woods again? He's like, I guess I'll do it again. Everything is hilarious. There is a rubber chicken with a pulley in the middle that you can keep using to cross zip lines or solve arcane puzzles. There is a character who keeps the beast that took both of his hands locked away in a safe inside his house, and it just reveals itself to be a parrot. It's hilarious. The game is great. You eventually get to head out on the high seas and make it to Monkey Island, a fantastical, mythical island with a long-forgotten sunken treasure with vegetarian cannibals and a giant monkey head and a ridiculously long banana picker that Guybrush keeps in his pants. I can't sing the praises of this game enough. The story is funny. The story is heartfelt. You are a guy trying to follow his dreams, and you have to poison the governor's poodles to do it. the puzzles are just hard enough to make you think, but not so hard that you don't think that you can do them. At the time, adventure games were quite famous, even in LucasArts, for killing the player. You could die in an adventure game. That's something that Monkey Island really shifted. You were never in a situation where you would get so stuck that you couldn't finish the game. You couldn't get out of it. There were always ways to solve puzzles. The game itself came with a manual, and the manual was a sort of walkthrough, but it was written from the perspective of Guybrush telling his diary and his story, and it never gave me any of the answers, but it always guided me towards the right solution. And man, I miss stuff like that. That doesn't happen anymore. It was such a special artifact of its time. For example, when you are insult sword fighting, you're learning new insults and new responses to these insults. You fight like a dairy farmer, how appropriate. You fight like a cow. The last fight I left, my face was covered in blood. Well, that'll teach you to stop picking your nose. I once owned a dog that was smarter than you. He must have taught you everything you know, etc., etc. And you get to know these responses, and when you finally have to face a swordmaster, she uses different insults, but the same responses fit, so you have to think outside the box and reapply information that you already learned. It's such a good use of a mechanic to make you feel like you are outclassed, but that you still have the ability to solve it. Guybrush is constantly, sort of running alongside the ghost pirate LeChuck, an evil pirate villain. You can picture any evil pirate villain. And he's thwarting his plans totally by accident and eventually entirely on purpose. But at the heart of the story is still just this guy, this kind of hapless, little bit dumb, dim-witted wannabe pirate who's just irascible and positive and, I don't know, a really strong character to identify with. I can't say that Guybrush Threepwood hasn't inspired the way that I write characters when we write adventure games. If you haven't played it, I do advise you, please go try it. There was a remaster 15 years ago that featured the game with a whole new art style and full voice acting, and it's a real treat. And you can also flip back and forth between, the original pixel art style and, the modern redoing. There have been a lot of sequels to this game, and some of them are good and some of them not so good, but this franchise is like something I've never ever seen before or since. It is a special, unique experience, and you have to play it. When I shipped my first game, I went out and I got a Monkey Island tattoo, 2 crossed swords, a milk jug, and a banner that says, "How appropriate." And I had the opportunity to share it on social media and have it noticed by the original creators, and it was a great full circle moment for someone who loves the first game that ever made him laugh. That's it for me. And for the love of Monkey Island and all good comedy games out there, I thank you for your time. In the immortal words of Guybrush Threepwood, never pay more than $20 for a computer game. Again, my name's Dave Proctor. Thank you to the show. Thank you to the fans. And as always, happy gaming.
Do you feel like you're the only person in your circle who wants to go deep about video games regularly?
We were like that too, until now.
Welcome to Crossplay Conversations, the brand new bi-weekly topical video game podcast from Luke Lewis,
Joseph Hooper,
and Jacob McCord.
With many years of breaking it down separately on shows like the Left Behind Game Club, Player Podcast, and Lukewarm Games, the gang is finally coming together to publish their gaming group chat in audio form every other week.
Expect roundtable reviews of the latest games, profiles of upcoming indies, and insightful conversations about essential topics in the video game industry. All with a mostly positive, insightful, and fun style.
Crossplay Conversations debuts on August 1st with brand new episodes hitting every other Tuesday. Help us out by subscribing on your podcast platform of choice to get the first episodes delivered straight to your feed.
And follow us on Twitter at Crossplay Convos for updates about the show.
Cheers and happy gaming.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.